Welcome to the Authentic Change Podcast. I'm Mike Horne, your host, and this podcast is for leaders and coaches who need and want fresh perspectives on what it means to live and to lead authentically. You're a leader who wants to make a difference, but sometimes you feel stuck. You know there's more to life and to leadership than what you're currently experiencing. It can be tough to figure out how to grow as a leader. You might be reading all the blogs and books, but it still feels like you're not making progress. You might even be feeling like you're doing everything wrong. On Authentic Change with Mike Horne, we interview experts who share their insights on how to live and lead authentically. Our guests are trendsetters in building great leaders, teams, and organizations. We provide fresh perspectives on what it means to live with purpose and authenticity. Welcome to this episode of the Authentic Change Podcast. Welcome to this episode of the Authentic Change Podcast. I am joined today, and I'm absolutely excited to have in our virtual studio, Paula Mattisonsierra. She has been helping others with their marketing. She is the founder of Power Marketing SF, and we should ask Paula how she was able to grab that name because it is a powerful branding name, Power Marketing SF, where Paula is the founder. But before I go on about Paula Mattisonsierra, I want to again say welcome. And Paula, perhaps you can say some words to our audience about who you are and what you do. Thank you, Paula. And again, welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you inviting me in, Mike. I'm so excited. So I started in marketing it's about 25 years now. I might be lying about, there might be a couple of extra years on top of that, but right after I graduated from college. But what I decided to do, because I realized that marketing, it was less about the degree that I got and more about the experience that I had with the client. Really, at the end of the day, marketing is specifically about communicating your message and your whys and who you are personally to the client. And that wasn't going to be achieved just through a degree only. I needed experience. So way before I even graduated, I was already working full-time. So I was going to school full-time, but staying in New York allowed me to work for some of the biggies. Westinghouse. I worked for Hal Riney and Partners. I worked on at Griffin Bacall on the Asbro account. I worked at Westinghouse. And so that's a big deal for kids starting out in marketing because I was able to touch and not just look at theories only. And I think that's so important. So I've been doing this now for about 25 years. And I am less about the actions as a first step and more about the strategy and looking at who you are. And I've been doing this for about 25 years now. And the name was actually an interesting story, which is perfect for our topic today, because this is my fourth business. My third business, 2008 was a crazy time, a lot of learning. And so we closed down those stores. And I just quickly started doing consulting. And so P. Madison Consulting, I started. But something, Mike, at the end of the day, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers may be going through this as well, who the heck knows what P. Madison Consulting does? And it hit me that I had made a faux pas, a branding faux pas. And as I'm going through, I told someone my mistake. And they're like, well, you're very powerful in how you present things. And I went, oh, wow. Same initials, P. Madison, Power Marketing.
Oh, that is great.
That literally was
I didn't make the connection.
Exactly. So I was able to transition easier from one to a 2.0 version, which explained more of what I was doing. So I've been doing this for a minute now, from big corporate and now to mid-level, mid-market businesses. And I operate as their offsite marketing department. So, yeah, that's who I am.
Paula Mattisonsierra, PM, Power Marketing, SF. It is amazing how all of that comes together. And
Yeah.
Paula, let's go a little more to the origin story, though. So there you were attending Baruch or graduating from Baruch in New York City, and you have an opportunity to become a marketer, to apply what you've learned in the world of work.
Yeah.
But how did you end up with an interest in marketing? What's the inspiration? Was it out of a sense of out of what sense of purpose did it grow?
Well, it was really more inspired by my family, because everyone, I'm Jamaican, born. I've only been here since I was 15, 16 years old. And, when you're transitioning into a new country, you're learning the mores, you're learning social, you're just everything. And then, of course, all the siblings were starting variations of different businesses. And my mom had her own thing as well. And watching them process, it was interesting to be able to see the small business owner and how they process. Because the mindset I started realizing quickly became, I have to do it by myself. And it's kind of a lie, right? It's the American business lie, which is I pulled myself up by my own bootstraps by myself. And which is so like completely wrong. And the story is not being shared well, because what's happened is that there's been a lot of wonderful angels that have come to help us, mentors, teachers, other business owners who've really advised us, shared their learning challenges to help us step up to the next level. Yes, we did that part by ourselves, but that learning did not happen by itself. And also that there are great people like you, Mike, out there, to help them move to the next level, great accountants, bankers. And I started realizing that they didn't know any of that stuff. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. They're doing that with marketing too. And they're trying to figure out marketing instead of focusing on their genius. They're trying to do everything. They're trying to be head cook and bottle washer. And you cannot build a business when you're trying to be Rescue 911. You're trying to do everything by yourself. And so it was like a ping moment of, yeah, working in corporate America was my learning. And it was interesting going through some honestly pretty difficult team situations, not feeling like I was really part of the team and all of that stuff. But I learned so much. And I started realizing my best positioning was working. I really loved working with small businesses and seeing them succeed, and giving them that information, introducing them to someone like you just really made me happy. And then to see the success out of it's like, because they truly sometimes think that they can't get that kind of expertise and they just have to YouTube it and figure it out by themselves, which is completely a lie, So that's my origin story about how I got from there to power marketing in its current structure, so yeah.
And Paula Mattisonsierra, one of the words or hashtags, that we associate with you, or that is associated with you in social media, is be the light. Can you say some more about that? What it means to be the light, and I assume it's driven out of something to inspire others.
Well, it's kind of separate from marketing, because have you ever heard that saying that says, "Oh, it's not business, it's not personal, it's just business"?
Sure.
I think that saying is for employees. It's not for business owners. It is personal to us. It's our blood, sweat, and tears, our money, our time away from our family, all the risk that we're taking. It's super personal. It's almost like another child, right? For some folks, right? It's like, I just birthed another child. And so for me, working with all these business owners so personally, the way I structure my business, they share so much with me, intimate things. Sometimes I hear about the divorce before the partner, I hear a lot. But what I started realizing is these people who are just such geniuses in their area was lacking on so many other things. And so I'm like, well, I know that other professional that could help them, that other professional. And so for me, marketing and operations is very tied together. It's a love story. They're locked and loaded together. And I know that not everyone is into sharing because well, if I hold the information somehow makes me powerful. I like the reverse. I like to share it because not to make me powerful, it just makes me feel good. When I wake up out of bed in the mornings, it literally made me feel good. Listen, I had someone the other day, she ended up not really being able to utilize the services, but to share the information with her, I ended up getting another referral from her. You know, it's like, okay, well, when we did the consultation, it was like, you're burning through monies. You have to stop. This is how you move forward.
And I think that's
Share.
how, I approach it out of a set of humanistic values, is that you can see the pie as divisible, or you can see it as expandable. And taking the expansive approach, I think, is what helps to be the light. You also talked about having many wonderful angels, mentors, teachers, helping people step up to the next level. Can you give an example of that in your work? I mean, in addition to what you just described, by helping someone that turned into a positive outcome.
I know, totally. I mean, for me personally, I have had many angels who I didn't even realize at the time. I was so young that just kind of showed up. I used to be a real estate agent when I was 19 years old in New York.
Oh my goodness!
This was like 980 something, right? But it was like a while back. This boutique agency, they basically needed someone who was going to help manage, and then maybe transition to doing sales as well. I was working in a supermarket at the time, like a little boutique supermarket in Manhattan, very, chic, And, he was in so many times, he just stopped and said, you don't belong here. Why are you here? I'm like, because I need a job while I'm going to school. He's like, you should not be here. I'm going to introduce you to someone. Stop by. I'm having a little get together tonight. You can't stay because it's for grown-ups, but I want you to meet someone. That's how I got my first real estate job,
Incredible.
And then from there, the angels who work there, the partners, they were a little rough on me, trying to get me to like always, but in a wonderful mentorship way, and they were like, why aren't you becoming a real estate agent? You need to get your license. It's all of these people and just kind of coming for you. We can either put blinders on and not see them and really are in the focus of, I'm doing this all by myself, or really open up and look around and see that there are people who really are honestly rooting for you. And I got to say, there's been a lot of wonderful angels. I mean, those three gentlemen and shout out to SKS Realty, they're not around anymore, but those three guys were wonderful because I got so many lessons, life lessons as a 19-year-old kid, who by that point I'd only been in America for like 3 years, and just always looking out for me, being like, always pushing me like, oh, come on, you can do that. Get it done. The biggest lesson I got there till this day was not everyone who smiles at you is your friend, and not everyone who's irritated with you is your enemy. Know the difference. That's still stuck with me, so it's, angels are around you everywhere if you just care to look and get out of your head about it. And ego is not your amigo. I heard this one this weekend. It's like, look at are the people who are around you. And that goes for business owners too, so yeah.
One practice area of power marketing, SF, is personal branding. And that does help us to think about how do you help people to find their authentic voice in this work? I mean, you've been gifted by mentors and teachers in your own experiences. What is the process or what's the experience of helping others to find their authentic voice so that they can effectively market in a very personal and sophisticated and genuine way?
Thank you so much for that question, by the way. I think people expect a more complicated answer. And the simple answer is, I listen. Everyone thinks that it starts with oh, we're going to put you on Facebook, or we're going to do this, or we're going. And for me, the longer the conversation, because guess what? People already know the answers. They do. People already know the answers. They're sometimes not confident about the answers. But I realize that as business owners, they're in it every day. They see it, they see competition, who are striving, who may have done an idea that they decided was not worthy and won at it. They are seeing their employees, they're seeing their vendors, they're seeing everything and not realizing they're seeing everything. So for me, it's sitting down with my personality and saying, let's just sit and talk. Tell me about who you are. Tell me about what makes you happy. I have one client, every time I ask, he gives me this canned answer, and it was going for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And then I finally got this one where he's like, because of the way I grew up, I really just had this affinity for kids. And I said, so do I. I think you can really affect kids in such a simple way by doing few things. And he goes, yeah, I think so as well. We could change society if we really just started doing for kids. I'm like, there goes your why. Have you ever considered doing something around kids? Having your employees volunteer, boys and girls clubs, whatever. It's like, because that's a big why as well. It's personal to you. I said, let me tell you now, Mike, how that trickles into everything else. That now goes to the type of employees that hear that message because you're sharing it and go, wow, I really want to work for that company because I love the way they're doing things. Because listen, it's none of our damn business who wants to work for us. I'm sorry, it really isn't. I don't care if they have this much experience. That why may say that, like, I've been trying to transition into trucking or technology or, baking or restaurants or whatever. And they hear that story and they're like, I want to work for that person. Because that just fills my heart. That's what I feel too. You would be surprised just being yourself, how it makes a difference. And I think, something yes, I know COVID was a crazy time and still is for everyone. But, the big teacher was let go of the ego, let go of the pretending. Like, what is it that you want to be, not what your competition is. So I start there and I really push at it and I ask a series of questions about who they are, how they grew up. Yes, I even ask what their horoscope sign is. Do not judge me, people out there, if you don't believe in it. But it all pulls together so that mostly I can have the business owner hear themselves. So we can sit and just talk about it, because sometimes until we start having that dialogue, they don't really hear themselves. They're like, hey, that's not a big deal. It's like, it's a big deal to everyone else. So that's where we start with. So we're not trying to do this. I think people hear social media, they hear personal branding is, suddenly the Instagram thing comes to mind. Everything is staged and fixed up. Let me tell you something about those people out there who are filtering and posed and overly pulled together, and it does not last because eventually you become yourself, and that never works out well. So we want you to start on a foundation. If you're a funny guy that everyone, let's just go with that. If you're a little bit of a curmudgeon, let's try to see if we can work that in somehow. You're a philanthropist, that could work as well. What's your thing? And you think the curmudgeon wouldn't work. I have one guy that I just love because he just tells it like it is. And he really believes in helping people and helping them through their retirement. So he just kind of like, stop it. We need to get this done for you and your family. When you retire, we got to do this for you. So he's kind of like a grumpy, sage. I'm like, but let's do that because that's you, instead of trying to squeeze him into a box that frankly isn't really him. So that's where we start with a personal branding. Start with a dialogue. What's your why? Who are you? Number two, what makes you happy? And of course, three, what's your end goal? Those three things for me is where we start. And in between that, there's just a lot of questions that are asked.
And Paula, through that process of helping clients, others to find their authentic voice, their personal brand, to identify that personal brand, how do you then help people to cut above the noise? For many small businesses, people aren't seeking them out on their website necessarily, or it's not that they're not seeking them out on their website, but they wouldn't know how to find them. So how do you help people to cut above all the noise?
Thank you. I'm glad you said that, by the way, so that folks can hear it, so I can repeat it. Your website alone is not going to be the way that people find you. There are so many websites out there right now. I mean, I remember 30 years ago, oh my God, that first website that we built was horrible, but super findable because there were so few of them out there. The percentage of folks that would find you, high percentage. But now you're competing with everyone. So we're not like a Macy's. We're not a Chase Bank. They aren't coming to find us. We're not popping up. We don't have that kind of dollars. So I'm going to say something, and I know everyone's so dependent and thinking social media is fairy dust magic. It is not. You still have to be part of the process. And that's why the really sitting down and creating an authentic persona of you is going to help us to sell everything on social media. However, social media is only a backup for you. The thing that I'm going to say the dirty word. Are you prepared for it?
I am.
Sales. You're going to have to get out there, and sales is in everything. It's picking up the phone and calling a client, reaching out to referral partners, going to a networking meeting. Because there is so much noise on social media, we're back to the fact, personality. People still want to meet you. And yes, you're like, well, how can I get to, if I'm just doing it locally? How am I going to get to New York? How am I going to get to Yugoslavia? Who am I? Wait, is Yugoslavia still around? I'm like, how am I going to get to France? Because there is such a massive network on LinkedIn, on Instagram, getting out there and also including the sales part of that personal branding, which is actually seeing other people or sharing on social media, offering great information. It's all together in a little bundle. It's not just social media alone. We're going to create a plan for everyone. And think of it like a mixed salad. If you're just doing greens alone, like I went out to a restaurant last night, asked for a kale salad. I don't know. I just thought there would be more. It was just kale. I'm like,
oh my goodness,
who is selling this? I'm like, okay.
Right.
But to make that salad interesting, you want to put some roasted peppers and some mushrooms and chicken or whatever else, because you want to create variety. Just like with our relationships, if we're building a relationship and your client's relationship building is the same, so let's just call it relationships. When you're building your relationships, you don't just meet someone in one place. Oh, I'm only going to post on social media and that's it, and we'll build a forever relationship. No, you're going to catch them in a couple of places based on where they are. And so now we want to follow up that way. Maybe we offer some great information on YouTube. Maybe we post on relevant platforms. Maybe we actually go to a networking meeting, go to a Zoom meeting. Maybe we start giving to the not-for-profit that's close to our why. Maybe we'll get some PR where we'll get press as well. That mixed combination where you're just popping up and popping up and popping up where they are organically is so important. But again, things that are important to you. So it's real, not just, again, we can make stuff up if you want, but that just does not last very long because it's just not you. I have a friend and she's dating right now. Whenever she's out with guys, she's like this whole other person. And I'm like, I wish she would just show them the real her, because the real her is so cool. She's funny. She's great. It would be amazing. But it's like, no, that's not going to happen. We need to be this idea of what a good wife would be, or a good business owner would be, or a good soccer coach, or, a personal coach, or whatever it is that you're selling. Suddenly you are trying to live by someone else's rules. And so for me, it's about, once we have that personal brand strategy put together, it's now communicating the message, but we can't do that without you. We still need you. We still need you to be visible, to do some talks, to share on social media, share videos, go to a networking meeting, because people connect with people, not social media pages, And so that little bit of extra showcases and really becomes the foundation for the personal brand that we can put right on top of that. It's you. It's never, and even if your idea is to grow the business, we're trying for growth here. They still need to know that corporate brand. Who are you? What the heck is it that this company believes in? It's not just about getting customers. It's about connecting with the right vendors. And it's also about connecting with the right clients. All those three that are super pivotal are all looking at who you are. 2008 changed everything, So yeah, that would be my step 2 after we built that brand and decided where we want to go. Yeah.
That's great, Paula. I mean, thank you so much. And what I also wonder is, as a small business owner yourself, what are some of the challenges that you face? You did you described coming out of the pandemic or being in this pandemic and what it means. What do you find as some of the challenges in your business?
For me,
clients, marketing,
like the whole mixed bag.
Uh-huh.
I have to say, listen, I lost a cousin as well during this period. I've only recently been able to see my mom. So there's been a loss that's happened, and there are people who've lost way more than I have. With that said, what is it? What was it? Charles Dickens? It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Yes.
I gotta say, the pandemic, I was humbled by because of networking, and that's why I encourage it so much. I'm part of 2 networking groups, and I thought one really rose to the top, like a lot better with structure, but the other allowed international networking. So both had its good things. And, because we were all feeling so frail during that first quarter, I literally just said, listen, a couple of the things that we should do as a business owner anyway is just to reach out and meet new people, learn new things, read more. That's what I'm going to do. And so for me, getting out there and just I've met people in England. I went to networking meetings on Zoom. In India, I went to India on Zoom, Israel. I got a client from Germany because of it. Brazil, Italy. They came to my chapters as well to visit. It was amazing. And we've always had this technology. Zoom's been around for a while. Google Hangout, Meetup, there's a bunch of them out there. The technology is not new. The crisis forced us to change, right? So 2 things. If you say you can, that's true. If you say you can't, that's also true. So going through that period, I just said, okay, it feels gritty. It's new. It's uncomfortable. I'm going to suck a little bit at it initially, but I'm going to do it because what else am I doing? I just saved how many commuting hours did you save, Mike? Because I saved about 3-4 hours commuting around clients. I'm like, what am I doing with this darn commuting time?
It's often advice that I provide to clients is to be experimental in your approaches, that life is not a science experiment to be lived or studied, but rather to experiment with it and to see what produces an outcome that is satisfying for you personally and professionally.
Absolutely. And in my mind, guess what? When you first start, you're going to suck. It's just, because it's brand new. You're going to be a little uncomfortable, but that's the beauty of when you keep showing up, right? Just keep going back, keep trying it, read about the technology. And it breaks my heart when I still hear people who say things like, I hate Zoom so much. And I'm like, I'm going to take a deep breath because Zoom, as my 90-something-year-old mom, and you notice I said 90-something because she doesn't like me sharing her exact age out loud, but, because she went through the end of the Spanish flu period, and she said, you guys have so much right now, and yet there's so much complaining. And for me, Zoom was a gift. I was sheltering by myself. And so to be able to meet all these people. So for me, that's how I up level. And, it's of course now I say things like leaders are readers. It's like, sometimes I have to like shut it because it's, I'm reading all of this stuff. And someone said to me the other day, oh, like, so much. I'm like, oh, wow, I heard Oprah say this the other day, which is, it's not that I know a lot. It's just I've become this repository of information that someone can say something to me and I now go, wait, let me get that folder. Here you go. Read this book.
That's great.
So that was this period was fantastic. I actually grew. My revenue grew. The big one was making structural changes. We talk about the why, right? This is the essence of this show. I had 5 freelancers, major freelancers who were working with me for quite a bit. It's now down to 3. Once we started meeting on Zoom, because the beauty of Zoom is that we're seeing each other. I'm not distracted with my phone. We're seeing each other. And I saw some things that I was like, I don't like the way these two work. They're a little bit of a bully. They're not allowing the growth from everyone else. I was so busy running my business that in our meetings face to face, I didn't see all of this. And so they're freelancers. I just let them go. It's like we just didn't keep, I just didn't offer any more contracts to them. We got more productive, and I realized that working with them wasn't being true to myself. It's like one of my I ams is I am working with a disciplined team and I am a disciplined leader. And when I saw that on Zoom, I was like, it made my heart hurt actually because I'd missed it. And it was embarrassing that I had missed it. But of course, because you're journaling, you're seeing it all the time, you're writing it. And then you see it, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing that. So this period has been an education for me. Like you said, it's so true, Mike. The learning is everything.
So great, Paula, to think about all of the territory that we've covered in this episode of the Authentic Change podcast with Paula Mattisonsierra, founder, Power Marketing SF. We've described the ability to help people find their authentic voice, to know how to bring that voice to others so that others can hear it, and how to cut above the noise, and some of the challenges that you've also faced in growing, developing, and building the great business, Power Marketing, Paula Mattisonsierra, Power Marketing SF, to help others. Paula, if you were to provide some advice or guidance for a small business owner who is looking to find his or her or their way in the marketing world, what advice or guidance or what first step would you recommend? And then after that, let's talk about how people can get in touch with you too.
All right, I'm going to lay out a couple. It's not necessarily in any particular order, but I think the big one is really sitting down with a notepad by yourself and just simply allowing yourself just to write down the things that makes you happy, right? Just write down the things that even the things that you don't like. The negatives can be positive too. What I don't want in my business, just write that all out. Just let yourself flow, breathe, and just allow it to happen. And that may take a little while because you may sit, as one client said to me, I sat, there was an empty pad still, and I didn't have anything on it. So like allow yourself the grace of like it's going to take a while, but it may, if you allow yourself, it may just come. Just write down all those experiences. That's one. Two, nothing moves forward unless you have a goal. Like, what do you want? You know, so because I get a lot of people, and this is the one that I get from all my fellow marketers. Like they showed up and they wanted me to create a goal for them, or they wanted me to create their strategy. I don't know their why. I'm a graphic artist, or I'm a social media person. They were supposed to come to me with this. And I'm like, yeah, it's because, the idea around marketing is so incorrect. People don't realize that it starts with your business plan. Like forget the marketing plan for a second. It starts with your business plan and your goals. So number one, sit and write down your whys first. Two, what really is your goals? Go with your accountant, your bookkeeper, your business advisors. Have that conversation, really hone that in properly. Then you're ready to go to let's figure out how we're going to make that happen. Does suddenly Facebook, as you look at it, may not be an option if you spend time on the why. LinkedIn may be your only option. LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube may be the only option because of who your client is and who you are. I mean, I have one client who just doesn't want to be on Twitter, and it's a personal thing, but that's okay. Because notice right now, we're not making it formulaic. We're not just, let's go to someone else's website and just copy without really asking, how does this relate to me? I mean, listen, I'm all about stalking your competition a little bit on social media. It's not illegal. Just go ahead, do it, right? But it's so important to just do that little research. Yes, but it's going to be more important to look at your whys first. And then the last thing is action. It's like we're going to lay out that actual plan of what you're going to do, not showing up on Monday and saying, what am I going to do today? I'd like you to sit down today. So with 1st of August, how perfect. It's the 1st. So I'd like you to sit down today and plan for next month on the 1st. Yes, it would be wonderful to start today, but it's so much better to start with a plan first. And it's going to feel like you're holding yourself back a little bit, but give yourself the time and just plan out. What will I do in the first week of next month, the second week of next month, et cetera, and lay it out. When you lay it out like that, you can suddenly see your budget and be realistic, because if your budget is X, stay with X. It may mean that you have to just simply do a little extra work on your own because you can't bring in vendors. But now you'll see the plan, so you'll at least be able to lay out your plan. And you might have to weed some things off because of it, So first, what is my why? What is your why? Not someone else's why. And I get with my attorneys quite a bit, where they're asking other attorneys what's their why, or this is what we do. It's not what we do. It's what you do. What's your why? Next, what's your goal for how do you, what is it that you want to achieve this year, next 5 years? Like, what's your goal exactly? So that you can work up to that and build a plan and keep revising it. I always joke that, when I was a little kid, my mom would go to the grocery store. That was her time. I think now I realize it was her time away from 6 kids, right? But I realized at this age, if I write down a grocery list, I'm in and out in 30 minutes, because I know what I want, and I'm going in and I'm getting out, and I'm making efficient use of my time at the grocery store. And then, of course, lastly, application activities. Look at the goal and the why and how it applies to what actually do you really want to do? Who do you want to support? What's their whys maybe, and how can they actually get to your target audience? Actually, I'm going to throw in a number 4. This is for folks who are just starting, so startups. If you really don't have a proper idea of who your clients is, I want you to really process that. It's going to take a while because you're going to work with the clients. You're going to experience the clients. Even if you're working for someone else and you're a senior manager in C-suite, these are still your clients as well. we still need to look at, because nothing stays the same. We know that from going through COVID. So it's going to be important to revise that and look at that, and where's our clients and what's their journey right now? What's your path to purchasing our product or our service? Really take a peek at that as well. So I guess that's my big four to how to apply it and what to do next. Yeah.
That's wonderful, Paula, that you've provided this sage guidance and sound strategy to those who are approaching these topics. And I'm wondering, if our members of our audience wanted to be in touch with you, how would they do that? What are the ways to get in touch with you and Power Marketing SF?
Definitely the website's going to be the wonderful, very easy way to do that. But please also reach out to me on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm on Instagram as well now. And I have a YouTube channel as well. So all very accessible. But of course, powermarketingsf.com is going to be the super easiest way to connect with me. Drop something in the contact box. It will be forwarded to me, and I'll follow up with you as soon as possible. We offer a 30-minute free consultation. So just to kind of assess and see if we can be of guidance. It's a no obligation situation. I like to really sit, like I said, and get to know, is it really a proper match for me and for them as well? And if it doesn't work, you've got some great information that you can move on with, because I'm all about sharing. So it's my COVID give back, so that's how they can connect with me.
Oh, that's great. So it's powermarketingsf.com. And there you can find out about the services and the work that Power Marketing SF does at powermarketingsf.com. And you'll be able to connect there with Paula Mattisonsierra, the founder of Power Marketing SF, who brings deep experience in marketing, both in the corporate side and personal branding side, and is standing by ready to help you express your authentic voice to inspire others to your services and to help you be the light as you bring your value to the world and work through this expandable pie of wealth and power that we have and prosperity that we can share. Paula, thank you so much. I've enjoyed having you as a guest on the Authentic Change podcast. And once again, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on, sir. I'm so excited.
And until the next episode of the Authentic Change podcast, stay well.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Authentic Change podcast. I'm delighted that you've tuned in to listen. Please visit the show notes for links to topics discussed in today's podcast. To download a free ebook on authentic change and leadership and to subscribe to my newsletter, please visit mike-horne.com. Once again, mike-horne.com, mike-horne.com. Once again, thank you for listening to the Authentic Change podcast.